The humid air of Kuala Lumpur buzzed with anticipation, thick with the scent of rain and the energy of a city on the brink of something historic. The city's vibrant streets, alive with the sounds of traffic and laughter, seemed to mirror the excitement building in diplomatic circles. As Prime Minister Mark Carney and his spouse, Diana Fox Carney, stepped from their motorcade, they were greeted by a reception that signaled not just a diplomatic visit, but the dawn of a new era for Canada in Asia. The red carpet, the flashing cameras and the respectful bows all spoke to the significance of this moment. Asian leaders, led by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, welcomed them as equals, partners in shaping the region's future, not merely guests passing through. The atmosphere was one of mutual respect and shared ambition. The ASEAN summit, with its sea of national flags and bustling delegates, became the stage for Canada's bold debut in the Indo-Pacific. For the first time, Canada was not just observing, but actively helping to set the agenda. Mrs. Carney, a respected development economist, dove into real policy discussions, exchanging ideas on climate action and economic resilience. Her presence underscored Canada's deep commitment to sustainable growth and meaningful partnership. The warmth in the room was unmistakable, a stark contrast to the recent diplomatic chill with the US. Here, Canada was welcomed with open arms, its voice valued, and its intentions trusted. Every handshake, every shared laugh, every candid conversation broadcast a clear message. Canada was ready to engage Asia on its own terms, forging relationships built on trust and mutual benefit. For Asian nations, Carney's Canada represented something new, a stable, reliable partner, a valuable counterweight in a region often defined by US-China rivalry. Canada's presence offered hope for a more balanced, multipolar future. Back home, Canadians watched these images with pride and relief. For many, it was proof that Canada could chart its own course, forging alliances and shaping its destiny on the world stage. The grand welcome in Kuala Lumpur was more than just ceremony. It was a powerful symbol, the first sign that a new, more confident future for Canada in Asia was not only possible, but already beginning to unfold. Canada's pivot to Asia is a necessity, not a choice. For decades, Canada's prosperity depended on the US, with 75% of exports heading south. But deep integration has become a liability in an era of American unpredictability. Prime Minister Carney's trip signals a deliberate shift. Canada can no longer rely solely on the US market. The move is about diversifying, building new economic pillars, and asserting sovereignty. By cultivating ties in the Indo-Pacific, Canada is declaring its independence on the world stage. This marks the start of a new era, one defined by global partnerships, not dependence. The catalyst for Carney's Asian tour was a late-night digital shock that rippled across the globe. In the quiet hours, as most Canadians slept, a single notification lit up screens and set off alarms in government offices and boardrooms alike. On October 23, 2025, President Trump abruptly ended all trade talks with Canada via social media. No warning, just a public break. The announcement was blunt, catching even seasoned diplomats off guard and sending shockwaves through financial markets. The trigger? An Ontario ad using Ronald Reagan's voice to champion free trade, aired during the World Series. Millions of Americans saw it, and so did Trump, who viewed it as a direct affront to his administration's policies. Trump saw it as a challenge to his America First agenda, and retaliated with a sweeping 10% tariff on all Canadian goods. The decision was immediate, bypassing traditional negotiations and escalating the situation overnight. The move threatened to cripple Canadian businesses and supply chains, escalating tensions to the brink of a trade war. Factories faced sudden shutdowns, and cross-border commerce ground to a halt, leaving thousands of jobs in jeopardy. For Carney's new government, it was a baptism by fire. With little time to prepare, officials scrambled to respond, holding emergency meetings and facing a barrage of questions from a worried public. The message was clear: Canada could no longer count on North American cooperation. Decades of partnership seemed to unravel in a matter of hours, leaving uncertainty in their wake. The tweet that shook a continent forced Canada to urgently seek new partners. With old alliances in doubt, Carney's government turned to Asia, hoping to chart a new course in a rapidly changing world. Facing mounting hostility from the United States, Prime Minister Carney took a bold step and unveiled what's now known as the Carney Doctrine, a sweeping new vision for Canada's place in the world. Canada can't control America's actions, but it can absolutely shape its own destiny. The message is clear. Canada must chart its own course, independent and resilient, by building new alliances and strengthening its global presence. The government is moving quickly, wasting no time in signing a major trade deal with Indonesia, a country that's rapidly emerging as an economic powerhouse in Southeast Asia. This agreement opens doors to a vast market of 270 million people, creating new opportunities for Canadian businesses and workers. Carney's ambitious Asia trip is also about advancing talks with the Philippines, another key partner in the region, and deepening economic and diplomatic ties. He's also engaging with leaders from Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan, countries that are vital to Canada's new Indo-Pacific strategy. The ultimate goal, to secure a free trade pact with the entire ASEAN bloc, unlocking even greater economic potential, and forging deeper regional partnerships. But this isn't just about trade, it's about embedding Canada in the Indo-Pacific's political and security landscape, ensuring a stable and influential role for decades to come. Carney's international credibility is opening doors, positioning Canada as a reliable, rules-based partner that others can trust in an uncertain world. The Carney Doctrine is a declaration of self-reliance. Canada must diversify its relationships, not abandon them, and seek new opportunities wherever they arise. It's a bold recalibration to secure Canada's prosperity and sovereignty, no matter what happens south of the border, and to ensure the country's future remains firmly in Canadian hands. Repairing ties with China is the most delicate part of Canada's Asia pivot. Years of diplomatic freeze and trade retaliation have left relations strained. Carney knows no Asia strategy can ignore China, the region's economic giant. Talks of a meeting with President Xi at APEC signal a possible thaw, but the path is fraught. Canada must balance economic opportunity with national security and human rights, all under U.S. scrutiny. Public skepticism is high, most Canadians distrust China. So Carney must convince both Beijing and Canadians of the need for pragmatic engagement. It's a diplomatic tightrope that will test Canada's leadership. The Carney government's Asia strategy is turning into real action. The Indonesia deal eliminates tariffs on key Canadian exports, signaling Canada's seriousness to the region. At ASEAN and APEC, Carney is pushing for new trade agreements with the Philippines, Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan. The big ambition, a free trade pact with the 700 million-strong ASEAN community. Canadian businesses, long frustrated by barriers in Asia, are optimistic about new opportunities. Beyond deals, Carney is building trust and goodwill. Asia's leaders see Canada as a stable, law-abiding partner. These new friendships could prove as valuable as the trade deals themselves. Canada is laying the foundation for a more resilient, diversified economy. This journey to Asia is a turning point for Canada. The shock from Washington forced Canada to confront its dependence and chart a new, independent course. Carney's tour is the first chapter in a story of national reinvention. The warm welcomes and real negotiations in Asia prove this new path is viable. Canada is building a future anchored by global alliances, not just proximity to the U.S. The road ahead will be tough. Managing the U.S. relationship and diversifying exports won't be easy. But the direction is set, and the world is eager to engage with a confident, outward-looking Canada. The future is taking shape in Asia, as Canada steps forward with renewed purpose.